I thought my Stronghold 4 fortress was ready. The walls were up, the towers were full, and then the attack began. The pressure exposed what the castle had hidden. My workshops could not support the defense. I had built more fortress than my economy could sustain. The castle looked impressive. The plan behind it did not, and that failure tells us more about Stronghold 4 than any trailer. The demo provides two useful tests: rebuild a ruined settlement, then defend a fortress under pressure. Together, they show where Stronghold 4 is already convincing, and where the design becomes harder to trust once hundreds of soldiers reach the walls. Stronghold made every unit the final product of a visible economy. Popularity brought peasants, workshops armed them, and walls gave them purpose. Its fear factor let you please people for stronger troops or intimidate them for faster production. Crusader expanded the skirmishes, but kept that chain. Stronghold 4 brings both ideas to a larger battlefield. I have spent many hours with Definitive Edition, and fear factor is still one of its smartest systems. Pleasant objects raise popularity and military damage but slow production. Intimidation drives workers harder while weakening popularity and soldiers. Stronghold 4 brings that good lord and bad lord choice back. Apparently, even the flower garden has a military budget. The economic mission begins with a ruined town. Food comes first, then workers, then workshops, and only then can the settlement support a fortress. What makes this satisfying is not the number of buildings. It is that every shortage has a cause you can see. An empty armory sends you back to the workshops. A missing workforce sends you back to food and popularity. The military mission then puts that economy under pressure. I gave the walls more attention than the production behind them. When the attack arrived, the fortress had shape, but the weapon chain could not keep up. The loss was not mysterious. I had built the shell before the machine. The clearest improvement is castle construction. Walls can follow the terrain instead of forcing every fortress into a square box. Towers and gates can be placed around a plan rather than around a grid, and the larger maps finally give the settlement room to breathe. But more freedom also demands better information. The demo's menus often cover the area I am trying to understand, and a larger battlefield becomes a problem if I cannot quickly see where production stopped or where the defense is weakest. Stronghold 4 needs scale without losing clarity. Weather is the new system with the most potential and the least proof so far. Firefly says snow can slow crop growth, while heavy rain can reduce archer range. That is exactly the kind of change Stronghold needs because it affects both the settlement and the siege. But the demo does not show enough to judge how often weather changes a battle, how clearly it is communicated, or whether the player has time to respond. The idea is promising. It is not proven yet. Once the attack begins, the scale is obvious. Towers fill, formations converge, and the fight stretches across the walls. When it works, the settlement and the battle finally become one system. But the current combat can be difficult to read. Units bunch together, some movement looks awkward, and attacks do not always have enough impact. In the densest moments, it can be hard to tell where the defense is failing, or whether a unit is fighting, moving, or simply stuck. I eventually won the mission, and the victory felt earned. Early access now has to make those battles clearer, more responsive, and more convincing. Firefly plans to launch early access in 2026 with a 22-mission prequel campaign, skirmish against 8 CPU lords, free build, and a curated skirmish trail. Multiplayer, a cooperative trail, and an economic campaign are planned for version 1. That is a substantial plan, but the release should be judged by what is playable on day 1. The most encouraging part of the demo is not nostalgia. It is that when I failed, I could explain why and change the next attempt. Stronghold's best battles work that way. Flexible walls and larger armies give that formula room to grow. The unanswered question is whether pathfinding, battle clarity, and enemy AI remain understandable across bigger castles and late-game sieges. 2 demo missions cannot answer that. For now, Stronghold 4 is a promising fortress still under construction, and I want to see what happens when the gates finally open. What matters most to you? The economy, castle building, or siege AI? Tell me below and subscribe for the full save or buy. Verdict when early access begins.